Check, check. I'm having
Perfect.
some cold brew coffee this morning.
Oh, nice.
I got some water. Oh, that probably didn't sound very good. I got some water. Test. Hello. Yeah, what time is it for you guys, by the way?
It's 8:30 here a.m.
Oh wow.
10:30,
You
so
guys?
not
10:30.
that
Oh,
bad.
not too bad. Not too bad.
Oh, it's okay. I've been actually just on like a side note. I'm not normally a morning person, but I've been trying to go to bed early and wake up early for like just to create a healthier routine, and it's been nice. Like I
Yeah.
actually don't mind. All right. So,
for
I'm
sure.
trying to do the same, and I went to bed at 2 a.m. last night, so it's not going too well.
brutal. Yeah, I feel that. All right, guys. So, Rise and Though, thank you so much for coming in. Real quick, I would love if both of you would be willing to maybe introduce yourself. Maybe if we want to start with like Though, and just give me like a few things about yourself in the community, what you do.
Sure. Yo, I'm Thomas, also known as thotechtical online. I have been playing Pokemon Go since the start and PvP since it launched. Always really enjoyed playing the game, mainly like competitively. I like winning, so that's what I try to do. Though it doesn't really always work out, but that creates interesting content on Twitch, which is what I enjoy doing now. I live stream a lot on Twitch, and I create some videos on some teams as well on YouTube.
My name's Chris, also known as Rise or reis2occasion. It's like a play on words with my last name. And then similar to Though, I do YouTube. I make videos where in college I did like sports broadcasting, and my original idea was kind of like combine my new love for PvP with my commentary, and then I also stream my battles on Twitch too. So mostly Twitch and YouTube is what I do.
Yeah, and I will have links to their Twitch and YouTube below in the description. My next question for both of you, was Pokemon Go your first Pokemon game, or were you a fan of the franchise prior to the launch?
I was a fan of a franchise for a very long time. Diamond and Pearl came out when I was like 7 or 8, and that's when I really started with the Pokemon games. I'd been collecting like cards a little bit before that, but it's when I started with the games, played for like 4 or 5 years, and then I entered that stage where I was like, all right, I'm too old for Pokemon now. But then Pokemon Go came out, and I was like, all right, now I'm old enough for Pokemon, so let's play again. And then I stayed playing.
Nice. All right, cool. What about you, Rise? Was Pokemon Go your first game, or do you have experience with the franchise prior?
So actually, when I was like 5 years old, I started karate, and there was a kid at my karate studio named Patrick who like had Pokemon Fire Red for his Game Boy Advance, and he would like let me play sometimes before class. I thought that was super cool. My parents got me a Game Boy Advance in the same game. So I played the main series games up until like Generation 4. I remember like Ruby Sapphire, and then there was like a Pokemon Ranger game I played for DS.
I remember
But then
that.
once I got to maybe like middle school, I kind of stopped. It wasn't cool anymore. So I played mostly like sports games like FIFA, NBA 2K, and such. And then when I was graduating high school, Pokemon Go came out, and that's when I got into Pokemon Go when it came out in 2016.
That's funny. We're basically have the same story.
Yeah, I was about to say you both seem to have like kind of fallen off of it, maybe feeling like you grew out of it, and then when Pokemon Go launched, it felt appropriate to kind of get back into the game, maybe seeing like the type of people playing it or how popular it was, or maybe just general interest, maybe you can finally live that fantasy of going out in the open world and catching Pokemon.
Exactly. I mean, that's always been the dream, right? When I was a kid just playing on my DS, I was like, wow, it would be cool if I could do this outside, like for real. And that dream kind of came true.
Yeah, it's definitely a very like personalized experience for everyone. Everyone has their own like thing, their favorite Pokemon, their own reason why they like the game. But I do feel like Pokemon does a great job of just connecting, universally to people. So leading back to you both got back into Pokemon, playing Pokemon Go, but now we see you both as top content creators. What led you into deciding you wanted to start making content for this game? Or did you make content for video games prior, or is this the first game you decided to make YouTube content and Twitch content for?
For me, it kind of overlapped with what I did in college because I studied digital media and journalism, and I would edit like news packages, right? Or I'd edit like sports highlights for our sports teams. So I already had some experience editing videos. And my senior year of college was when COVID kind of escalated. So I had a lot more free time. We all were remote from home. And that's also kind of overlapped when I started to really get into PvP. Um, and I found out about Silph and the Go Battle League. And I started seeing these other content creators on YouTube like Zionic, FP Sticks King. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I'm like, you know what? Like I could probably like make videos like this too. So I had done content in a different sense before with like internships and stuff for news and sports. But 2020, kind of when COVID hit, was my introduction to starting to want to do content for Pokemon Go just as a hobby. And it's become a big part of my life.
That's similar for me, actually. I'd never really done any type of content before. I mean, I had a Twitter basically, and I posted some videos of battles there occasionally. And I was known at the time in the community as a pretty good battler, so I got requests from people to start a YouTube channel to maybe start streaming. They wanted to see my battles, but I really was never interested in it. But you know, then COVID hit, and the tournaments I normally went to every month got cancelled. So I was like, well, I kind of need something else to do now to connect with the community. So I started streaming on Twitch.
That's crazy. Like how much your stories are somewhat similar. Wow. Speaking of PvP, since this seems to be like our common like interest in the game, I mean, I'm sure like we all love just grinding the game and playing it casually and collecting also. One question I would like to ask, being that we're very involved in that community, do you feel that the PvP is in a good place? And this could be ranging from glitches to like fairness of like accessibility or like balance.
It's slowly getting there, I think. I think currently we are in a decent spot as far as the performance goes. I think a lot of the major issues have been fixed, and we're seeing more fixes coming for other issues. So I think game state wise, like 6 out of 10. Accessibility wise, it's quite bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it's extremely hard to get into this game as a new player. So it's like a 3. Which is quite unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to like add a little bit on that real quick, is that I think that's probably one of the biggest issues with the game is accessibility, because I think there's a lot of great mechanics in community, and like you look at the community and there's so much amazing stuff going on, but yeah, maybe accessibility could be something Niantic, especially since they just released Buzzwole at GoFest.
Did you guys see though? There was recently on Pokemoners, I saw a post. Something was leaked, and it was like Great League research Drapion, Great League research Jellicent, Great League research Stunfisk. I mean, we don't know what it's gonna be yet, but my theory is that it's gonna tie in with the World Championship, and it might be like a research that gives you a PvP Pokemon, which would help.
That's a pretty cool idea. It's kind of similar to the concept in like sports ultimate team games where you like grind to get better players, and you win a certain number of games, you might get a player that you can add to your team. That's pretty strong. Yeah, I think Tho said it well. I think the fast move denial sneak fix was a big improvement. It makes it a lot more fair and consistent. And I've noticed recently, like I don't lag or pause much anymore. But what's been happening to me lately, I was talking about on stream, is visually I'm like always decent. Even if I'm not actually decent, I'm like visually decent, and it kind of trips you up. Because with higher level players, like we know our fast move timing or charge move timing, however you want to phrase it. But I used to kind of rely on it visually. Like I wasn't necessarily counting, all right, I'm going to do 4 wing attacks and then throw. Like I could just kind of look at it and throw then. But now that I'm like always visually desync, I have to like make sure I'm actually thinking, okay, I'm going to do 4 wing attacks. And so little things like that are still kind of bothersome. I'd say it's been like steadily improving. Maybe not steadily, because it seemed like when there was an update, sometimes a lot of things would get broken. But as of now, I think it's in a better place than it has been in a while. But there still are a lot of kinks where the gameplay could be more fluid, and it's still not like super uncommon to see someone just like lag out of the game.
Yeah, do you feel like there's anything you would like to see added to the game, PvP
I would
wise?
love to see less RNG.
I know what you mean, because for example, the boost from Obstagoon can just completely demolish.
Yeah,
It's wild, or more so even like Giratina and Master League. The thing gets an ominous wind boost and the game is over.
That's actually a great point. So you think that adding these secondary effects may actually be not a good thing in the game?
I don't know. I think like crunch is kind of fine. It definitely flips all matchups, but it's like it's kind of so common and the effect is so low that eventually you're gonna lose a couple of games because of crunch, but you're also gonna win a couple of games because of that buff. So it kind of evens out, and the game is not completely over if you get a drop.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's like
not
reward
that
or something.
overpowered, but like a Knight slash an Ominous Wind, an ancient power even is such a high risk move with such a low reward. But if it pays off, like the game's just over if you get that boost.
Yeah, personal anecdote. I in one of Panic's monthly Silph tournaments this Silph season, it was me versus Vani in the finals. We were both 6-0. It was 1-1. Came down to the last game. I totally called his line, hard countered him. I had like my counter user on Steelix, and then I had like a ghost on Surfetch, and his Surfetch got the dang boost.
No.
And it was able to beat my my Goregeist. And
yeah, that sucks.
And that was game.
Yeah, that's actually brutal, because like something like Surfetch that has high attack stat too is like kind of brutal when it gets that boost. It's like so frail, but it just kind of deals out that damage.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily in terms of like gameplay, but one cool idea some people were saying at Seattle is, so at like the battlegrounds, people were standing up, battling each other on those little. With Niantic trying to add like virtual reality stuff, could you imagine a VR aspect similar to like the Pokemon anime, where like you actually see their Pokemon and you're
it'd be so cool.
Yeah, that'd be next
so
level.
Cool. Yeah, no, I would love that. I would definitely love that.
Yeah,
just immerse yourself into the battle.
You'd think Niantic, that's like a goal of theirs eventually, because there's definitely money behind AR in this type of niche, especially like a franchise like Pokemon. That'd be amazing, honestly, to see. But maybe one day in the future, Pokemon Go tournaments will be held almost like Yu-Gi-Oh stadiums or something, where like you're just both like on a stage and like we get to watch the Pokemon fight like that. That'd be sick.
Well, man,
I think it'd be just be 100 nerds with VR headsets on. Honestly. That's what it's gonna be.
It's like when people could be like, there's gonna be porn in Pokemon. No, I'm just. So since like so in PvP right now in Pokemon Go, there's two distinguished formats: GBL, which is the Niantic run format, and Silph, which is community run. What is your favorite format? And why?
So I prefer Silph just because of the show 6 pick 3 format. I think it makes it less likely for you to get like RPS. Like it's still obviously possible, but you see it reflected in like players' win percentages, right? So like the top GBL players, their win percentage might range from like 54% to like 60% versus in Silph, you look at the top of the leaderboard and there's people hovering around like 80% win rate. Maybe that's because also in an elo system, like you're going to be paired around people of your skill level versus in Silph, like your first couple rounds might be people that you have a little bit more experience than. But overall, I think show 6 pick 3 allows for you to have some more strategy involved. You know what you can bring. You think, okay, if I see this, I can swap this, versus you're kind of just going on the fly in GBL blind threes.
I agree with that for sure. I think Silph slash show 6 pick 3 formats, because there's like more tournament systems coming up. There's this one server where I do a lot of show 6 pick 3 tournaments, and I mean ADL, just like Rise. It's a draft league we are doing, also show 6 pick 3. It's a lot of fun. It's just less likely to get RPS'd, which just makes every game feel more satisfying. Even if you RPS, you just made a right call. Whereas in GBL, sometimes you'll just run into an absolutely ridiculous line, which just happens to hard counter you, and that just doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
However, I think the benefit of GBL is that it's so easy to just jump in and do a battle. I wish we'd have a similar system for show 6 pick 3.
So there's like a lot of layers to before you even get into the battle, where there's strategy involved, like the poker game you're playing against your opponent. Like, does my opponent see their strongest pick against my team, and are they going to pick that, or are they going to like know that I know that and then pick the counter to my counter? There's a little bit more strategy because you can actually foresee all of the possibilities to a degree. You can make better predictions. But in GBL, like you were saying, you can get hard countered by a ridiculous team that you would have never seen coming, because you're still guessing at the end of the day. You have to build something that's a little more safe at times. But with that being said, you can kind of jump in the GBL and be that ridiculous person running something spicy, because you can get away with stuff you could not really do. Like, you can run a cheap mechanic in a tournament, but the minute the person realizes what you're doing, the moveset or whatever, they're not going to fall for it again, right? But you can get a cheap win in GBL that like someone might regret losing to you, but you're going to feel great about it.
That's definitely true. Though you can also make spicy stuff work in show 6 pick 3 as well.
Agreed.
And you can actually
maybe even better at times
choose where to put your Pokemon strategically. I think the problem with running spicy stuff in GBL sometimes is you can also just get completely ran over because your opponent just has 3 counters to it. Whereas in show 6 pick 3, you can just decide to leave your spicy pick on the team for this one opponent, but the next opponent might actually be quite weak against it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. That's happened to me for sure in Silph experience, where like I ran Shadow Magnezone for a month, and there were games where I was not going to bring it, and then there were games where my opponent only maybe had one answer for it, so I'd keep it in the back, and it was a beast up shields. Same thing with Gengar in a recent month, because there were a lot of normal types roaming around in a Silph meta recently. I'm terrible at remembering their names in terms of the metas, but like if I saw there was an Oranguru, a Noctowl, and a Diggersby, I'm not bringing my Gengar. But I remember I played Pocket, and he literally only had like one answer for Gengar, and Gengar beat 5 out of 6. And it was just impossible pretty much for him to win with my Gengar. So yeah, you can manage those spice picks a little bit better in show 6 pick 3.
Agreed 100%. That's actually how I really like to play the game a lot. And I do feel like with show 6 pick 3, if you're really aware of like what the current metas are, you can actually build your teams to force your opponent to play certain ways, which can like allow you to bring in some of these like spicier picks at times. But yeah, really cool. In regards to GBL though, like, is there a personal favorite format that you prefer to play? Maybe like Great League, Open, like Ultra League, Master League, or maybe even like one of the more like fringe metas?
Man, I used to love Great League, but the meta has just been completely figured out by this point, and everyone is just running their Nidoqueens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Poison Fanging and Registeals and Walreins. It's just gotten so boring. There's no more room for innovation. So honestly, right now, I also really used to like Master League actually, but Master League has just become so inaccessible that it's impossible for me to play it. So right now, it's just usually the limited metas are quite fun because at least those have some room for some innovation still.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as though. We were actually talking recently because I was consistently saying on stream, Nidoqueen is the most annoying, unskilled Pokemon in the game right now. And then I started running it against them. And yeah, I went to the dark side. I recently built one. But
that's how it is, though.
Yeah. But I agree. I think right. I used to love Open Great League too. I remember I had a Mew Vigoroth Mandibuzz team that was kind of unique that I had a ton of success with. But I think the emergence of like Trevenant, Sableye, and like Nidoqueen as well is kind of tough for that team. You don't have like an obvious answer for it. Swampert, because I'm not running like a grass move on Mew, so Swampert's a little bit tricky. But now, yeah, you just kind of see the same type of things over and over. So I'd say as at the moment, I think my favorite GBL leagues have shifted towards like the themed cups, whether that's like Kanto Cup or Hazui Cup. I had some fun running like Shadow Hippowdon. So I think
nice.
the themed Great League Cups would be my favorite for GBL.
What is it like making content as a popular top battler here now? Like both of you have your own pathways and achievements here in the community.
I don't know. I still feel like a regular guy that just enjoys making videos and playing the game, honestly.
Like I'm sure Tho probably got a lot of people at Seattle that like came up, wanted to meet him, take pictures. It's cool. Like you could say we're like well known in this community, but it's kind of like this tight knit small community where we're able to like make content and have people that DM us, like want to submit us footage and stuff. So we're just normal people. I'm still figuring out my life, to be honest. But
yeah, I feel
but
you.
it's fun. And connecting with your previous thing, one thing I've evolved with that I think I used to struggle is being so competitive, right? When I would like lose in GBL or have a rough GBL day, I'd get a ton of like DMs of people telling me GG's or like great game rise, that was amazing. And I used to get kind of tilted because like
only your losses.
it's
right?
only the losses, yeah. So I would get like pretty tilted for a while, like, and I didn't always handle it the best, like, because I maybe if I was like upset, I got like triple hard countered, and then I get like all caps, GG's amazing game rise, like I would like maybe send like something sarcastic back, like yeah, amazing, but I think I've evolved from it better, and I've come to like learn that it's kind of a positive, right? Like people are excited that they queued up against me and they got to play me. So I've even though sometimes the competitive side of me, it can be like annoying. Um, I've learned to like appreciate it, whereas before I probably always didn't handle it the best.
100%. Like
I feel exactly the same about that.
yeah, I think it's human to feel like that to a degree, but I also feel like maybe because we're behind screens at times, you feel like it's different when you can humanize the person as well.
Honestly, when I started streaming, I was like extremely self-conscious and like nervous. I wanted to do good. I wanted to show like I can win games. And when I had like a very bad day, I feel pretty bad. But now I'm like, yeah, even if I go like 2-23, like 23 losses on a day, I'm like, all right, it is what it is. I mean, I have nothing to prove anymore. So
Yeah,
who really cares? Ultimately, the people in my chat are there for me. And that's awesome, right? That's awesome.
outside of all of this, I have one final question for both of you. Is there a growing future for Pokemon Go? And this could be, in regards to PvP or just as the game, because I do feel like personally, I've been surprised by some of these healthy updates. I think some of the updates they've added recently are actually good in the game. But with like Mega Evolution, making XL Candy a little more accessible, the daily incense.
I think so. The daily adventure incense was, I think, something that everybody's loving right now. And easy reason to go outside and spend 15 minutes or more just walking around catching, see what you get. I know Niantic's mission is to like make this a forever game, and I think with like the whole level 50 increase a while back, like it's something like me I'm not like the biggest grinder around, so for me it's gonna be a long time before like I have all the Master League level 50 viable mons. So I think there's certainly a lot of things they've implemented that'll hopefully make this last a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. I think the last couple years of Go haven't been the best. But I also think that's partly because of the pandemic, and they had to rush out a bunch of features like the remote raids, and they weren't implemented well. So they spent a bunch of time working on fixing that rather than making new updates. But I think now they're in a spot where we're actually seeing good new stuff come out, like the daily adventure instance and a bunch of fixes to PvP, and hopefully that continues. And if it does, I think Pokemon Go and PvP can go on for a very long time.
I mean, obviously it's still early to truly say, but do you think this first cycle of Pokemon Go has been successful?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously been growing pains, I think, especially when it comes to like refereeing and some rule sets, and of course the game state. Maybe sometimes not the best, but obviously it's very clear that they have learned a lot of lessons from that, and they've implemented it in like the later tournaments, especially, which all ran extremely well. So yeah, I think it's been very successful, and I honestly I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah. Yeah, there've been a lot of growing pains, like from the early ones, and especially some of the European tournaments I know. Like was it Bremen where they had like
Yeah,
a
Bremen was awful.
yeah, just tons of lag issues with like horrible connection between the phones. And even at the US regionals, the North American regionals, like the games on stream were all super clean, but off stream there were like tons of issues. It was like mostly those two phones that were connected on stream were really good. So it's the first year they've done. I looked it up recently. 2004 is when they started doing like the TCG World Championships. So they've been going 18 years,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
it's their first time ever doing Go. So it makes sense that there's going to be like some issues. But I think every single tournament they're fixing it up more and more. We've had some unfortunate like referee mistakes that have caused some controversy,
Yeah.
but I think they're learning from it.
Absolutely.
And King like came up with an idea of notes like from NAIC where the phones after a certain amount of time off stream were like starting to get more issues. So maybe like switch out the phones after a certain point in time. So I think they have like an open mind. They know that this is a learning process for a lot of them involved with play Pokemon, and it just hopefully is going to get better and better.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
love how receptive Play Pokemon team is to feedback.
Yeah.
Like they really listen.
Yeah, I only went to the Columbus one and it seemed to run pretty smooth from my perspective. Like, and I was catching the earlier streams of, and I, obviously I've heard about some of the controversy calls from referees. So yeah, like I do agree there's been a lot of growing pains, but that's just comes with it, right? Because not even a lot of the people who are refereeing the game are as familiar with the mechanics of the game as like a normal player.
Yeah, I even Statistan was the runner up at the first one in Liverpool, and I watched his like podcast he did with Sosaflow, and he was saying at the beginning they're asking the refs like, should we record our battles? They're like, no, that's okay. Like if you have a problem, just call us over. And they were trying to explain like, no, that's not going to work because if we don't have the recording,
yeah,
like, we can't show you. So they were like explaining to the referees like why this would be better to record our matches, and the referees are receptive and like, okay, like you guys do that then. So from the start, like those said, they've been receptive.
That's actually really interesting. I never really thought about it, but if there was like an error in TCG or even VGC, they technically wouldn't really need a like. Obviously, can't record TCG, but VGC you wouldn't really need a recording of it. That's so interesting that they'd honestly have like no idea. Wow. I mean, we're all like, it's like natural for us, but wow. Well, that's really interesting. So yeah, Kristen Thomas, thank you so much for joining me here today. I think that wraps this up. It was a pleasure having you both here. I hope you're all doing well. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Great.
For sure.
Me too, man.
Yeah, thanks again. By the way, be sure to check out their content here. I have it in the description below. I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with both of these legends here, but thanks again for tuning in and take care, friends.